Welcome, everybody, and greetings of the day to all our viewers watching us from different parts of the world. It is indeed an exciting week for all culinary enthusiasts as the world's greatest culinary event is on. This is the Young Chef Olympiad Week, where over 40 participants of different nationalities are competing from across the globe. This year, the seventh edition of YCO is even more special since the entire event is in a virtual realm. While the young chefs battle on, we bring to you a talk with our ever elegant and dynamic school partner, Miss Shanthi Menon. Miss Shanthi Menon is the principal, founder, and the principal of Deens Academy, and her spirit embodies the spirit of this institution. Her passion for education and vast teaching experience has put her in a unique position to continually steer Deans to the highest echelons of educational excellence. Having worked with some very reputed institutions in Chennai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore, she was instrumental in setting up and heading Gopalan International School at Bangalore. She has been trained in the field of teaching by the prestigious Cambridge University, UK. An able educationist, her zest is very evident in the indigenous curriculum she has developed for the students of Deens Academy, which includes life skills, community engagement, and innovation. A warm welcome to Ms. Shanthi Menon. Welcome, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
coming.
much, Dakshina. And it's a pleasure to be doing or associating so much with IIHM. And I'm wonderstruck at the amount of work you all do in reaching out to students and giving them that kind of opportunity to be part of this whole structure.
Thank you for coming in today, ma'am. As we have already said, the topic for today's discussion, which would give a kind of insight to a lot of students at schools, as well as parents, as well as our own students at IIHM, is how we can leverage technology to deliver inclusive education. And that is the topic that we are going to speak today. So before we go into the technological part of it, what does inclusive education mean to you, and what is the eventual goal of such an education?
So, inclusive education means providing an opportunity and an environment for education to every individual, irrespective of their aptitude or ability. Education would include their holistic development. So we would, talk about their emotional, physical, social, and intellectual development also. So every school initiates this environment by ramping up its infrastructure to meet the needs of these differently able students. Every teacher has to consciously plan her pedagogical strategies to include the last child in her classroom. And every student in the classroom is conscious of and is supportive of these students and their needs. So that in all encompasses, for me, what inclusive education is all about.
So, what would the eventual goal of inclusive education be? Is it to bring everybody on a similar platform, or is it to give quality education to people with different abilities?
Uh, in a way, it's both. One is providing opportunities for them on par with everybody else, and therefore it's equitable education. Secondly, it is providing them an opportunity for their kind of set skills or their kind of needs, and I think that is most important about inclusive education. So quality has to come naturally in either way for them.
Right. Having been in this field for so long, what would you say have the some of the new teaching methods, and how has it evolved over the time? The whole concept of teaching, how has it evolved over the time?
All right. So I think the most apparent and visible evolution in the teaching strategies has been the teacher is no longer the center of the classroom. So gone are the days when the teacher stood there with a stick and her glasses and her white chalk on her hand. The teachers today obsolete. And actually what has taken over is what is called a facilitator. So we no longer refer to them as teachers, but they're facilitators in class. The student is at the center, therefore, of the learning, and their learning styles, their individual aptitudes, their interests create the basis of learning, and the facilitator creates differentiated learning strategies to suit each of these students. based on their aptitude and intelligence, etc. So that is the first change that has happened. The second change that has happened is technology is being interspersed so effectively within the classrooms that it provides for a quick feedback, since assessments now can be conducted immediately in a jiffy, and thus learning can be assessed at every juncture of a classroom transaction. Then there is quick access to learning. So then research, inquiry-based learning are very effectively used in classrooms today. Then self-learning, while we do research and inquiry-based learning, self-learning also becomes a very large part of the classroom processes. So apart from all of this, there are also things like AI, AR, augmented reality, etc., which adds a huge amount of dynamism to the classrooms. So in all, there has been a huge shift in the whole process, in especially these two spheres of learning. I mean, spheres of the classroom transaction.
Right. I mean, I'm glad to hear that the role of the teacher has actually changed. And you've also said that with the advent of technology in classrooms, teachers have become facilitators. But besides this, has the entire the platform of learning now it's going more towards, since it's going more towards, technology, like you said. How has the role of teacher, or how has the teacher had to uplift himself or herself?
So essentially, like I mentioned earlier, teacher no longer is a teacher, right? So they have had to upskill. They have to take on their new role as facilitators. So they only facilitate learning today, because within a classroom, so today, children are far more technologically adept than a teacher is, right? So from the time they're little ones, they already know how to maneuver, how to find things for themselves. So a teacher has to be, either ahead of the students, which is going to be difficult, or the teacher has to be a learner with the student. And that is a wiser thing to be, space to be in. So it would be better that, so, while a teacher is teaching, even while she's talking, you would notice that children are already browsing the net, already finding, matter for themselves, finding out ways to, loop the teacher into a fixed kind of thing. So it's better that the teacher comes out of the teaching role and gets into being part of the learning process. So in that sense, the teachers have adapted to the whole process, right? They have realized that they are not the all I know it all kind of in the school and the classroom anymore. There is a role that of only facilitating, where the teacher and the student learn simultaneously. Of course, they've had to explore a lot more beyond what they've been used to. For instance, creating, it's exciting for a teacher, I would say, because they're creating modules with, augmented reality, part of their teaching strategies, etc. So I would think teaching has changed a whole lot. Technology is here to stay. Nobody can go back and, while the blackboard may be there for certain aspects of your teaching, a large part of the classroom transaction is going to be using technology. For instance, in a school like ours, even before technology became such a big thing, we were quite paperless. Most of our work was done as soft copy. Most teachers, all of us classrooms have been for the past 12 years, every classroom has had an interactive smart board. So teachers have been using that very extensively. I would think that it's only going to become more and more that way of teaching, rather than getting back into the chalk and board mode for teachers altogether.
Really interesting, ma'am. Especially the part the way you said, teachers are they need to learn along with their children
Student.
and with their student. Yes, and being in the similar field, I think that's absolutely true. Agree, 10% to that. But with this technology bringing an evolution in education, of course, and the teachers changing, how important do you think is the involvement of the parents or the change that the parents have to bring to themselves, especially for the younger classes?
Right. So, see, initially, setting up the technological support for a child is possibly the largest input a parent has to give in. I will come to a second aspect of it, which is aspect of it a little later about parents' mindset. But physically, that's all they need to do, because today children are very tech savvy, right? They're unlike the old saying of born with a silver spoon. Today they're born with mobile phones and technology in their hands. From the time they're little babies, I see children who come for interactions with me before admission. They're sometimes so we are in first class in the whole setup of Deens is a toddler class, and these are children who are just 2 years old. So when they come for the interaction with me, they're possibly 1 year and 5 months old, and 1 year and 3 months old. And they're already busy playing on that mobile while they're talking to me. So they know how to maneuver all of that. So where does a parent required for all of that? So once a child's setup is put in place for them, children maneuver that. They know how to boot their systems, they know how to adjust their cameras, they know how to mute themselves, they know how to unmute themselves, they even know how to chat. That is becoming a big problem for us. Not to say about the children who are grade 4 and senior grades upwards. They are so savvy that most times the teachers in the classroom is reaching out to them saying, I'm stuck now, what do you think I should do, kind of thing. So children don't need any support in that terms. They're quite adept at any kind of platform they're using. They adapt to it within seconds, while we are the ones, we facilitators are grappling around trying to fit ourselves into the whole, understand the modes and various tools that are available. Having said that, one of the biggest issues that we find is, while children are spending a lot of time on screen with mobiles and with TV, parents have this mindset about them being in front of the computer doing classes. Now, that is the only issue that we have, and therefore there's a lot of involvement with parents in the sense that they would constantly, I increase one period, they will write to me saying that, my child is spending extra time, I'm not happy with it. That is I would think, an involvement which we can actually get rid of. We don't need parents doing that. If only they would consciously cut down children's screen time in terms of mobiles and in terms of games on net and etc., they would, in fact, not be involved in their children's presence online in a classroom at all. Today, when children finish their assessment, they're able to upload. No longer do children wait for parents to send notes to to the teacher saying I'm unwell, or I'm having a technical issue. The minute there's a technical issue, then and there you can see them typing in saying I have a technical issue, and I know this is my technical problem. Give me 10 minutes and I will be back on screen, kind of thing. So today children are very good at it. There's very little involvement, as far as I have seen, of parents while children are taking these classes. I
It's
hope I've
very nice
answered
to
your
know. Oh,
question.
absolutely, man, absolutely. I mean, the entire conversation or this talk has been really interesting because, like we all know, technology is here to stay and it's not going anywhere. Thanks to the pandemic, it's
Right.
all of a sudden leveraged itself into every homes, every room, every classroom. Yes,
Exactly.
classes or schools with a very very conservative approach has had to forcibly adapt to this. But I'm 100% sure that this is
Absolutely.
here to stay, and this is best to make best use of what is there. So, signing off on that last note, I'd like to say it is really interesting to see that, how much, like you said, that the interactive boards and classrooms at the deans. So it's really nice to know that, it's been already been applied at the dean, and we
Yeah.
really hope to see more schools and more educational institutions come up with this. Right. Thank you so much for coming on the show with us, ma'am. And it has been really a pleasure speaking to you. To all our viewers there, this was Ms. Shanthi Menon of Deens Academy and Dakshna of IIHM Bangalore signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dakshina.